Mash Kyrielight. Mash Kyrielight, Mashu Kyrielight, class name Shielder, Shiruda, is a Shielder class servant contracted with Ritsuka Fujimaru in the Grand Orders of Fate/Grand Order. A demi-servant human fused with the heroic spirit Galahad. She herself initially does not know the identity of the servant fused with her. In the year 2000, Mash was created from artificial fertilization and genetic editing. She is actually a designer baby, a magus genetically engineered under the orders of Chaldea's late director, Marisbury Animosphere, to be a prime vessel for a heroic spirit soul. The project aimed to control the powers of heroic spirits by binding them to a compatible mortal vessel in order to produce demi-servants. In 2010, when Mash was aged 10, Chaldea performed their second heroic spirit summoning. While the project succeeded in summoning and binding a spirit to Mash, the spirit failed to awaken. Galahad decried Chaldea's brutal experiments, briefly taking over Mash's body in an attempt to escape, but when Mash began to resist his control he stopped. Galahad realized that she would die if he left her. He remained in her body so she could survive, but refused to awaken. Although Mash could not manifest her powers as a demi-servant, Marisbury assigned her to Team A, with the goal of using Galahad's shield, which was formed from the Round Table, to act as a place where heroes gather that could be used to summon more servants. She would accompany Team A into the field so they could use her as a catalyst for servant summoning. Galahad would not form a demi-servant contract with her until the events at Singularity F, and even then he immediately vanished without revealing his true name to Mash after bestowing his abilities to her. After the research team deemed the project a failure, Mash was left to Chaldea's care. However, due to being a genetically engineered organism and not dissimilar to a homunculus, her lifespan was set since her conception. She was given 18 years to live, and while she was aware of this fact, she kept it a secret between herself and Dr. Romani, her physician. By the start of the story, Mash has already lived 16 years of her life, giving her a mere 2 years left, at best. Appearance: Mash is a young woman with short lilac hair, lavender eyes, and fair skin. Her figure is fairly athletic, and her breasts have elicited comments, some of which are rather crude, from several other servants about her physique and have also garnered her the nickname Mashmallow. As a byproduct of her demi-servant augmentation preserving her body at its peak physical condition, she will continue to appear as if she is a young woman regardless of her chronological age. In her casual outfit, Mash wears rectangular frame glasses, a gray hoodie over a black shirt over a white collar shirt, a red tie bearing the Chaldea insignia, a black skirt and tights, and brown shoes. In her demi-servant outfit, Mash wears skin-tight black and purple armor that resembles an extremely short mini-dress that exposes her butt, emphasizes her breasts, and reveals her panties. There is a hole that exposes her stomach area. She also wears black gauntlets and boots, a garter on her right thigh, a large cross-shaped shield, and she doesn't wear her glasses. With Ordinax equipped, she wears a more technologically advanced suit of armor with thigh-high boots and a visor, which have been designed to enhance her physical capabilities and compensate for Galahad's refusal to cooperate with her. Personality: Mash is a mysterious, kind-hearted girl. She refers to Ritsuka Fujimaru as her senior, senpai, even before Ritsuka becomes her master, feeling that something about them is especially easy to relate to. However, that smile belies a deep sorrow and resolve that has accepted her fate as a person with a set lifespan since day one. As she has spent nearly all of her life in an isolation chamber within Chaldea, she is somewhat naive and lacking in worldly experience. Despite this, she knows about a wide variety of subjects due to her education via Shiba, and she is especially knowledgeable about historical figures. Mash was initially designed to have no personality whatsoever in order to facilitate the demi-servant creation process, but Roman encouraged her to begin expressing her own opinions, allowing her to begin forming a sense of self. Mash often fears that her demi-servant state makes her inferior to true servants, and until she learned how to use her noble phantasm she thought herself to be all but useless to Ritsuka. Even before her demi-servant abilities manifested, she was devoted to the cause of Chaldea and sought to assist it however she can. When she is unable to participate in battle, she keeps a close eye on Ritsuka as a navigator. She does her best to hide her fear and in battle, and prioritizes keeping Ritsuka safe above all else. It has been hinted that she possesses romantic and sexual feelings for Ritsuka, as she is often seen blushing when compared as a couple with them. However, her naivety means that she does not yet realize what those feelings are. Mash is a big fan of detective stories, especially Sherlock Holmes. Abilities: Mash is a product of Chaldea's genetic engineering, a designer baby crafted to be born with a particularly strong set of magic circuits so as to become a suitable vessel for a heroic spirit. However, due to her nature, her lifespan has been set to only 18 years, with her body cells increasingly deteriorating. Since awakening the spirit sleeping inside her, her body has become more resilient, but that has done nothing to stop her deterioration. Mash carries a large cross-shaped shield as her primary weapon, which doubles as Chaldea's master summoning catalyst due to containing the round table, the place where heroes gather. She also carries a sword in her waist, but she has never been shown actually using it. Instead, she fights with bashing and slamming strikes from her shield. Mash also possesses healing scrolls, using them to heal her master and others. They appear to be produced by Chaldea, since Kaioshin also uses them on Ritsuka in Fate/Grand Order Turaz Rialta Dash. Later in the manga, Romani introduces a mass-produced version, scroll-type needleless injections, which injects liquid medicine with a healing effect into the body, developed jointly by Da Vinci and staff from Yamaina. Skills. Class skills. Magic resistance, a rank and lower magecraft is nullified, no matter what greater magecraft it is. Riding, C rank, she can perfectly ride things with the right braking or adjustments. Self-field defense, C rank, a power displayed when protecting allies or an allied camp. Exhibits damage reduction surpassing the defensive limit value, but she herself is not included as a target. Also, the higher the rank, more the protective range spreads. Succeed Phantasm? Rank and unique skill that demi-servants possess. One of the skills that the possessing heroic spirit owns is inherited and sublimated in a self-taught manner. In Mash's case, it is Mana Defense. A skill of the same type as Mana Burst, magical power is translated directly into defensive power. For a heroic spirit possessing a huge magical power, it would probably become a sacred wall that protects a whole country. Personal skills. Now is a wall of fragile snowflakes, the ability to apply defense buff to the entire party. The user's mental fortitude is converted into physical defense. Because Mash misunderstands how to use her noble phantasm, its true worth cannot be shown. The skill updates to Wall of Firmly Honorable Snowflakes in the Camelot Singularity. Wall of Chalk Obscured in Time, a defensive skill that allows one to arbitrarily apply invincibility to someone in the party. The power of one's noble phantasm also increases a bit. Following how it obscures, the target temporarily shifts out of the time axis to avoid an attack. If the rank was higher, the target could even phase through attacks, among other things, from a higher dimension. That principle is close to a certain defensive noble phantasm that is used to target its own user. Shield of Rousing Resolution, a skill that temporarily raises one's own defensive power and draws in an opponent's attack. It is only bestowed upon those who muster their courage and protect the back of those who egress before anyone else. This is not a skill that comes from the noble phantasm, but rather the form Mash's mentality takes. Noble Phantasm. Before discovering Galahad as the heroic spirit possessing her, Mash isn't able to access the full power of her defensive noble phantasm due to her not knowing its true name. In this state, Mash is only able to deploy Lord Chaldea's thanks to her instincts. This barrier is strong enough to block Excalibur Morgan, but Mash claimed that it wouldn't be able to block Altera's teardrop photon ray on its own, as she needed the help of Boudica's chariot of Boudica to block it. Once Mash learned her true nature in the Camelot Singularity, Mash finally accessed Galahad's noble phantasm, Lord Camelot. It consists of an ultimate protection, employing the Round Table, where the Knights of the Round Table sat at the center of the Castle of White Walls, Camelot, in the form of a shield. Its strength is proportionate to the willpower of the user, so as long as her heart doesn't break, the castle walls too shall never crumble, allowing her to block any attack. Lord Camelot has been shown blocking all types of different attacks, such as protecting Gilgamesh, Merlin, Ishtar, Ereshkigal and herself from Tiamat's Negagenesis, or protecting Ritsuka Fujimaru from Goetia's Ars Almadel Salamones, an attack that shoots hundreds of millions of A-ranked beams of light, each as strong as the holy sword wielded by the King Arthur from the Fuyuki Singularity. However, Lord Camelot doesn't make Mash invulnerable, as Mash's body wasn't strong enough to resist the extreme heat of Ars Almadel Salamones, which vaporized her, leaving only her shield. With Ordinaz, she can use a variant of Lord Camelot called Mold Camelot, which has similar defensive functions. Forms and alternate versions. Ordinaz. Ordinaz, or Ordinasu, localized as Ordinax, is a spirit origin exoskeleton system designed to supplement demi-servants. Named for the fish whose rib was used to make Galahad's destined sword, its armaments include limited armor, a visor, and a shield. Mash makes use of it after Galahad leaves her, allowing her to continue functioning as a servant while traveling the Lost Belts. While donning it, she is also called Armored Mash. It contains internal pressurization, combustion engines and software, which can be updated from the shadow border or other external sources, such as coordinates provided by a servant's magecraft. It has facilities that allow it to detect magical energy, and can also be synchronized with the shadow border's observation equipment. It has various modes of operation thanks to its installed software. Stealth mode, combat mode, defensive mode. It is designed to be fireproof and can withstand extreme heat reasonably well, but being submerged in lava is noted to be beyond its limitations. During the Greek Lost Belt, she gains a replica of Black Beryl from Shaun Eltnam Sakaris. Fairy Knight Galahad. Fairy Knight Galahad is Masha's form during the events of British Lost Belt. She gained this form when she openly declared herself to be Fairy Knight Galahad while still under the amnesiac effects of the Nameless Forest's fog. Abilities. Similar to the gifted names providing the Lost Belt Knights of the Round Table with the abilities of the proper human history's Knights of the Round Table, Mash too gained the Galahad's powers when she declared herself as Fairy Knight Galahad. However, she already had Galahad's powers beforehand, albeit lying dormant due to Galahad's refusal to grant them because of Masha's unconscious fear of hurting others. In essence, Mash had twofold the powers of Galahad, making her the equivalent of a high servant according to Leonardo da Vinci. She lost this state of being, however, once Chaldea left the British Lost Belt. Mash was able to break through Fairy Knight Tristan's strings, and Beryl Gut states that Tristan is no match for her. While Mash was able to fight Fairy Knight Lancelot for a while, she was eventually overwhelmed.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.